Hi beautiful, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, instead of doing a true crime or paranormal case that I would usually do, I thought that I would share with you some of my own. So I guess there's been a few, and I thought that I would share them with you because at the end of the day it's interesting. We all want to kind of like read into this, we want to know, and it's just really interesting to find out. So I guess I'm a skeptic, but I'm very open-minded to these things. So I guess you can't solidly prove anything, and even when you are a skeptic, there's not, you can have an explanation, but it's not necessarily going to be a proven one. Do you know what I mean? So I thought that I would just kind of tell you a few of my own. Some of them are like funny as well, so it's not going to be like seriously spooky. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting to share my own stories. So okay, so I'm going to start off with the first one I ever remember. I think I would say I was probably like 8, and we lived in a village. So I've already got goosebumps, like so we lived in a village. It was pretty much a road, and that was all it was. There was houses on this one road. The nearest shop was like a 20-minute walk, but it was like through fields, and then obviously you would get to it, but we were pretty much secluded from anything. We had fields and stuff like that, and I'm not sure how long that place has been there, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway, so we had a field, and it was like a green, so you just had a big kind of like open field, almost like a football pitch type field, and then a park to the side of it. There was a couple of trees, and then beyond that would be the rest of the field. So it was very much like a secluded area. So me, my friend, and my brother would have been so young. Anyway, he had his little like racing car thing that he was driving, like his little pedal one, and then me and my friend were playing dolls. So we had a pram, and we were like walking around the park and all the rest of it. We was on the swings, and we noticed that there was like it was just like it looked like a child. The far left of the field there was these 2 trees, and it looked like a very grey looking child. Like it wasn't like they had, you know, bright clothes on or anything like that, like where you kind of know that's a child that's moving around. And it was sort of peeping behind the tree, and it had something in its hand which we assumed was like a flag, like waving a flag. It was doing this for ages, and we was really like questioning it at first and wondering what it was, to the point where we actually we all freaked out. We freaked each other out as well. So my brother and my friend just run, because I guess when you're young that's what you do when you're scared, you just run. So I had to pick up the pram and the like pedal car thing and run. Like it was the most funniest thing I remember, because I was literally like had both of these things in my arm, and I was quite young as well, and I was just running for my life, like. But that was the first one. There's not a lot that I can explain or like debunk in any way. It was just a weird experience. It wasn't anything that we could really pinpoint and say it was this or it wasn't this or whatever, but I just remember it being a really weird situation, and just looking exactly like a child, but just very like grey toned. It was really, really strange. So that was the first one. Then I remember the second one. So we had a church that was down the road from me. So we had a church and like a community type building, and bowls as well, if you know what bowls are, like literally just old people throwing balls. Like it was a very small village, and we was at the church. We used to go to the church a lot to like scare ourselves, spook ourselves, all the rest of it. So we used to spend a lot of time at this church, and when I used to walk past it at night time on my own, it would creep me out a little bit. So there was one time where I was with the same friend again, and then another friend, so there was 3 of us. One of my friends, I think it was, spotted something right at the top. So you have like the tallest part of the church, and you have like a window, like a stained glass window, and this one was kind of not colourful, you could see through it. So there was, or one of us spotted this almost looked like a girl with you know, like those pointy princess hats, and they've got like the long veil type thing. It looked like that at the top of the window. We all saw it as well because we was freaking ourselves out. They darted again and left me. I literally always the last one, and I fell over and cut up all my knees because I was so scared and I was trying to get out as soon as possible, and because it was dark as well, it was just so freaky. But yeah, that was another one. These are just like, when I was younger, I just used to see a lot of things, and we both all described the same looking thing as well, so it wasn't like you know, we could have accidentally seen something and incorporated it to be something else. It was all the same description. So then another one when I was also younger, I would say I was probably, maybe not younger, I was 14, 15 maybe, and this is like when we lived in our family home in the village, and my dog passed away. So I had 2 dogs, and one of them was my absolute, like, I just loved him so much. We had them since I was maybe 3 or 4, so pretty much grew up with them and loved them so much. And when my dog, so his name was Woo, he died, and he died of old age. He actually just kind of like stopped breathing, and it was really sad. But after that, for quite a while, in the corner of my eye, could almost sit, so he was like this, he was a Shar-Pei, and he was this like nude kind of colour, almost like a tan, and in the corner of my eye, like on the stairs, like where I used to sit all the time, in the corner of my eye, I would just see like a silhouette, the same colour, and then obviously look and there would be nothing there. And my mum also would say the same thing as well. And in that time, obviously you think, you know, something that you've loved so much has passed away, and it's almost like you want to see that. And kind of up to that point, that's what I believed all the time. But having other experiences, you just don't know, do you? You just really don't know. So there was a long time when I just would see him in the corner of my eye on the same step. It's actually making me feel emotional. What am I doing? So yeah, that was that one. And then after I moved, I never saw it again. I never saw him or it or whatever it was. I never saw it again. So yeah, that was that one. And then I didn't really have anything for a while. I moved to a different house with my dad. Nothing ever happened there, never had any issues. Oh, actually no, tell a lie. See, I never had anything on my own there, always felt very comfortable. But me and my friend were staying there with her little Chug, like a Chihuahua pug dog. And we were just sitting watching telly in the dark downstairs, and the dog started growling and barking, and I was like, what's she doing? Like, why is she doing that? And then when we looked, she was staring at, we had a computer area with a desk and a chair, and the chair was always pushed up against the desk as you would leave it, and it was like a spinny chair as well. So when we looked at the dog, it was barking at the chair, and the chair was facing us, and it freaked me out so much, more because I guess of the thought of what it could be. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you can't see something, and it just looked so creepy, and the dog was really growling at it, and I just remember jumping over the table and just leaping into my friend's arms because I was so scared. It really spooked me out. But again, nothing happened that was bad. It was just more you know, what the thoughts that you have around something, or you just creep yourself out, especially when you're with your friends and stuff like that. So that was the first and last occasion that happened in that house. Now in this house I live in now, I moved, my other half lived here, and then I moved in, and I've been here, probably living here for maybe like 4 to 5 years, and loads and loads of things have happened here, but it always feels nice. It always feels calming. It's never a scary situation. I mean, I've stayed here on my own plenty of times when my other half has like done lates and stuff. Never really felt uneasy. And there's been so many things. So the first the first thing, we lived here with our roommate who was here for a while, and he heard tapping on his window for ages, and it would kind of go on every now and again, and we was kind of like, oh, you know, it's probably just like water drops and things like that. So that was like the first weird thing, but we kind of had an explanation for it. And then when we used to sit in the living room all the time, we heard that noise again on the window downstairs. Again, this could be like water tapping, we don't know. And then things just started happening in the kitchen. A lot of things happen in the kitchen. It always seems to happen there. And you would hear like banging, movement of things in there, and I would go in there and nothing is moved. It would be so weird. But that happens a lot, especially in the kitchen. My other half sees like figures a lot of the time in the corner of his eye. He always says it. I feel like he's either got like a sixth sense, or I think he's in tune with like spirituality, but he just doesn't know it, if you know what I mean. Like he's very his brain's almost open to it before he's open to it. Like he says a lot of things, and I think that sounds very much like spiritual awakening type thing. If you're not into that, then it would sound bizarre, but I'm quite into it. So and he isn't, so I pick up on these things, and then he's like, okay. But he does see a lot of people, especially men and stuff like that, standing at the top of the stairs, in the living room and things like that. I don't necessarily see that, but I do hear a lot of things. I've had a couple of things thrown at me before, like hair clips and just random stuff. And I mean, it's happened when my other half's been here, and I've said to him like, did you just throw that at me? Because, you know, it could easily happen. And he is genuinely baffled, like he doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's happened when I've been on my own and stuff like that. And then what other things have happened? Oh, okay, so we was asleep, and like fully asleep. This was like, I think when I actually woke up it was like 3 AM, and the my ring light completely fell over, landed on the floor, was really loud, but at the time obviously we was asleep, so we woke up to the noise thinking someone had broke in or something, because it was that loud. Kind of like assessed it a little bit, not really, just kind of looked around and fell back asleep, because we just sleep for England. And when we had actually woken up in the morning, the ring light had completely fallen over. Like my ring light never falls over, so that was really weird. But in the same night, this was about 5 o'clock, because my other half was getting up in like half an hour, but he woke up before his alarm. So at 5 AM, he's really tall, he's like 6'4" or whatever. His feet always hang out the bottom of the bed, and he felt like someone had almost like pushed into his foot. Now we do have a dog, but our bed is really high, and like I say, he is quite tall, so his feet were like hanging out of the bed. And if the dog walked past the bed, the dog would probably like hit your leg if you were sitting on the bed, but his feet were just sort of like that off the end of it, and he felt like something had completely pushed his foot, and it woke him up. He completely shot up, and I remember, and I was like, what's happened? And this was in the same night, so there was like 2 things that happened, one at 3 AM, one at 5 AM. And I always say to him, just don't give it mind, in the sense of like, don't think negatively about it, just think positively about it. And I never feel like it's anything bad. So that was another occasion. I've had a thing twice actually. Again though, when you're asleep, you are in REM sleep, like you're completely in a state of when you're dreaming, and there are many times where you know when you wake up and you feel like you're falling, you're like, oh, you kind of shock up, or you are kind of in the middle of sleep and being awake, where things confuse you. It happens to me a lot, but you think you hear something or you feel something, and that can happen. So there's been an occasion where I've been asleep, and then it felt like something completely sat on the end of the bed, but like on top of my legs, and I shot up and I was like, that is freaking weird. And then another occasion was I was falling asleep, so to the point where you're drifting off, and I heard my name being called, like whispered, and that really freaked me out because my other half was asleep, but then I was thinking I was just drifting off. So is there a possibility, you know, that I kind of was in the middle of sleep and dreaming? I don't know, but there are a few things that have happened here. A lot of things move. Like, honestly, like, I will literally be looking for something in the area I've been looking for ages, go out, come back, it's there. Like, it's so weird. Again, that is another thing where you're looking for something so much and you can't see it, but it could be something else. So there has been one other situation as well where I had my phone on the side and I had text like someone back, just popped it on the side, I think it was still open. And then when I went back to my phone, in the like where you obviously type the message, it had said like Graham, and it was spelled in the way of when you're, I don't know if Americans spell it like this, but it was G-R-A-E-M-E. Now in England you spell it G-R-A-H-A-M. So say if like something had been lent on it and then it corrected itself, I'm sure it would have corrected itself like the English way. So that again was another thing. So we do call like whatever it is the name, do you know what I mean? Because I just found it so weird. Like so I don't know, it's weird. When it's going on, I don't feel worried at all. Like, I don't feel like scared at all. I feel like it's actually quite a nice thing. But now I'm talking about it, you can tell that I feel a bit uncomfortable just because I'm on my own as well. I'm talking about it. But on most times when things are happening, I don't ever feel worried or anything like that. I don't feel scared. And like I say, I'm a skeptic, I'm open-minded, so I have explanations for a lot of things, and I do try to like debunk certain things, but at the same time there are so many things that have happened that I can't, or I don't necessarily need to, and I accept it for what it is, especially because of like people that I have lost, my other half has lost. It's nice to know if it is, if you know what I mean. It's nice to know that if they are around, you know, it's a positive feelings, and that's what I take out of it. So yeah, that is everything. That is everything from up to my life now. But yeah, I thought I would just let you know all the stories that I have encountered, and yeah, let me know if you have as well. That'd be so interesting to find out. If you are new to my channel, then consider subscribing if you enjoy beauty related things, true crime, anything like that. If you are already subscribed, then thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys.